Hi, and welcome to Aquarian Desert. This little video is not an actual Bible study, but just an observation about the times we are living in. The trilogy, the bride, the coming of the Lord with fire, the resurrection, and the rapture, which includes the establishment of God's kingdom on earth. In this series, I have explained how God intends to establish a paradise on earth where we, that is, we Christians, will reign together with King Jesus forever. Satan, who rebelled against God, add as many people as possible to his kingdom, to his downfall. And his plan is to get all people to rebel against God. That's why he said to Eve, you can become like God. You can decide for yourself. You can decide what is good and evil. You don't need God to do that. Satan also tried to carry Jesus with him in his downfall when he showed Jesus all the glories of this world and said, if you bow down to me, then I'll give you all that this world can offer of wealth, glory, and honor. Of course, Jesus did not succumb to this temptation, but there are many people who have, and Satan has given them wealth, glory, power, and honor. Satan has promised these people that they can establish a paradise on earth where they will rule with him. Satan, he knows, however, that his time is short. He knows that God will judge him. But the people who are bowed down to him, they don't know that. They follow Satan in the hope that the world can become a better place where they can rule with righteousness. I mean, not the righteousness of God, but with a human righteousness full of pride, with human pride at the center. A world where man is God. A world where man discerns what is good and what is evil. Let me tell you the truth. Satan does not want righteousness, but he wants to bring all people with him in his downfall. These super wealthy, influential globalists whose dream is that one day they will arbitrarily rule this world and decide what is good and evil are not just super wealthy, but members of esoteric organizations that promote a satanic world government. I hope you can agree that the name Satan has a slightly negative ring to it. And the wealthy globalists who have bowed down to him do not call Satan for Satan, though. They call him Lucifer, which may be translated the light bearer. They believe that Lucifer is an angel of light. He's a good one. After all, he has given them insight, wealth, glory, power, and honor. They are totally unaware that the wealth, power, insight, glory, and honor they have received is a prostitute's salary. Let me tell you the truth. Satan does not care one bit about these people. No, he's just using them to destroy humanity. See my Revelation series for more on this. The super rich Luciferians, they believe that Lucifer is God. And they believe that he's superior to any God. He's superior to the Christian God, to the Muslim God, and yes, to any other God. They believe that the Christian God is an evil person who imposes rules on people that do not allow any joy in life. They believe that they live in the very bright light of Lucifer, while the Christians who don't see the light, they live in darkness. These globalists live happily unaware that the days of their very bright God Lucifer are numbered. As I said in the previous video, the seed of the woman shall bruise the head of the serpent. Jesus said that if the light that is in you is darkness, how great is that darkness? If the light that is in you is darkness, how great is that darkness? Let me tell you the truth. Jesus has a wonderful bride who is cherished and beloved. Satan, he has a prostitute a harlot, a whore that he uses to do his will on earth. And when Satan is done with his harlot, she will be discarded. The dream of a Luciferian paradise is just an illusion. The Luciferian globalist possesses something called the Federal Reserve Bank, a privately owned bank that prints and lends out dollar bills at interest. Unfortunately, the interest does not exist, and in this way people will be indebted to them. And let me explain. Imagine that you have a society totally void of money. The money in the society is zero. And the society, of course, they need money. And the owners of the money printing company, the Federal Reserve Bank, therefore print $1,000, which they lend out to the society at an interest rate of 2.5%. With a little bit of calculation, we can see that $1,025 has to be repaid. Now, the problem is that the $25 does not exist. I mean, after all, only $1,000 was printed. The $1,000 is nothing, but the $1,000 represents a debt note. I mean, there's no value behind the notes. They are not guaranteed by either silver nor gold. No, they are nothing but hot air. The debt notes only have the value people believe they have. They could be linked to oil, they could be linked to pharmaceutical products, anything. They only have the value that people believe they have. But that is not the fact with the $25. No, the $25 which does not exist must be repaid with real values. In this way, they plunder the world's riches.
This is potentially Lumacorp's most effective instrument for global control. Through international banking, we manipulate the fate of all countries. We've introduced many institutions, such as the IMF and WTO, that work in our favor to impoverish disobedient nations. Always remember, debt is a powerful weapon against countries that don't share Lumacorp's vision.
Perhaps our greatest achievement in banking is the Federal Reserve System. It is a collection of international banks owned by Lumacorp members and financiers. It was created to form a centralized banking system through the Federal Reserve Act of 1913, an act that was indeed penned by some of our most esteemed members. Many of you might still assume that the government itself prints and issues the currency. That is not the case. When America needs money, they go to our boys and ask for it. The money is printed, but it is only representative of a loan. Interest accrues on that dollar until it is paid back to the Fed. In fact, the federal taxes paid by the American population go almost entirely to paying off this debt. So you see, Lumacorp derives a healthy amount of its operation funding directly from the debt of the public. Needless to say, this is one of our most crucial sources of funding and one of our proudest achievements here at Lumacorp. Through mergers and acquisitions, we have slowly and silently bought up the majority of U.S. industry. Lumacorp and its members own most of the oil, transport, banking, media, food and communications industries in America and abroad. Through fewer and fewer conglomerates, we are able to effect with great precision the machinations of labor and government.
Ultimately, corporations will replace government as a centralized international body that can meet the needs of the public worldwide without the chaos created by national self-interest. When Lumacorp goes public, corporatism will be the foundation for world government. Conglomerates will merge into one cohesive corporation that is responsible only to Lumacorp and the needs of its global employment force.
The US dollar bill illustrates the hope of the Luciferian wealthy globalists for a world ruled by them. They call this Luciferian paradise for Novus Ordo Seclorum, which can be translated the New World Order. The pyramid represents the organization, and above the pyramid is Lucifer's all-seeing eye. The top stone, also referred to as the cornerstone, is not yet in place, but is hovering above the pyramid, symbolizing that Lucifer's kingdom has not yet been established, or fully established. Behind the pyramid there's a desert, which represents the time we are living in now, but in front of the pyramids the plants are growing, representing the prosperity of the coming Novus Ordo Seclorum, the new world order. These super rich globalists are fully convinced that they one day will rule the earth together with Lucifer in a kind of Luciferian paradise, which they refer to as the Golden Age. But what about all the people who don't believe in Lucifer? I mean those who cannot see Lucifer's very bright light, which in reality is darkness. Well, they will either be killed or enslaved, and they must be obedient. Oh, so obedient but happy slaves in the New World Order. As Klaus Schwab put it in his book, The Great Reset, be happy without owning nothing, without owning anything. To some, this might sound crazy, like a crazy, unrealistic dream. How do these people who have fallen for Satan's deception intend to impose the New World Order? Through United Nations. Since the United Nations was founded on October 24, 1945 in San Francisco, it has been the dream of the founding fathers to establish the New World Order, the Novus Ordo Seclorum.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
The New World Order is all about establishing a global world government ruled by the UN's United Nations super rich sponsors. I won't mention any names in this video, you can do your own research. I don't know with 100% certainty, but if these sinister plans for a new world domination are similar to what we can read in the Bible about the end times, then the United Nations will be instrumental in the creation of Daniel's 10-horned beast, which according to the book of Daniel will subdue the whole world and rule with terrifying power. The book of Daniel chapter 7 verse 23. The fourth beast shall be a fourth kingdom on earth, which shall be different from all other kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, trample it and break it in pieces. A fourth beast? I don't know, maybe it's no coincidence when Klaus Schwab calls the Great Reset the fourth industrial revolution. As I said, I don't know for sure if this is Daniel's 10 horns beast which shall devour the whole earth, trample it and break it in pieces. But there are many indications that the world is heading in that direction. In other words, we should be vigilant. We should have oil on our lamps, right? The United Nations Trojan horse is called Agenda 21, which virtually all countries of the world have agreed to implement. The mantra of the Agenda 21 is sustainability, sustainability. The agenda is largely about giving all power to the United Nations, which includes the WHO, the UNESCO, and many of the other United Nations sub-organizations. And is that so bad? Yes, it is. Remember that the United Nations leaders are not democratically elected. They are not democratically elected. If you have read Agenda 21, you will know that its goal is to turn the world into what most of all resembles the communist regime in North Korea. And the mantra is sustainability. Under the guise of climate crisis and pandemic, the constitutional rights of the general population will gradually be revoked. The United Nations must control everything. The general population's constitutional right to own a property and the right to own a business will be revoked. Education, work, the right to have children, the right to believe and think, the right to move from one place to another will firmly be controlled by the United Nations super-rich global leaders. Yeah, right. How on earth are they going to implement this? Through digital control. The United Nations will impose an unparalleled digital reign of terror. Through digital passports and social credit systems, the entire world's general population will gradually be forced to comply. They will be enslaved. China is currently a testing ground for Agenda 21's upcoming social credit systems.
Everywhere she goes, Ouyang Haoyu is followed. What she buys, how she behaves, is tracked and scored to show how responsible and trustworthy she is. It's called the social credit system, and in one version now being tested, a person's reputation is scored on a scale of 350 to 950. And Haoyu, with a good score of 752, is okay with it. In fact, most people are.
It's a mechanism pushes you to become a better citizen.
It's big data meets Big Brother, expanding how the government monitors, understands, and ultimately controls its 1.4 billion citizens. Thanks to advances in artificial intelligence and facial recognition, and a web of more than 200 million surveillance cameras.
Are people bothered by privacy concerns?
We think the lot of camera keep the safety is really good. We can accept it.
Companies are experimenting with the algorithms to help the government create the new national social credit system. The government also has pilot projects. In one, citizens are required to do hours of unpaid work to get benefits. And scores are docked for things like littering, a messy yard, gossip, even jaywalking. Video of offenders is shown on the local news. And information collectors like Zhou Aini are paid to report on their neighbors. Her quota, 10 entries a month. Like the man who carried a drunk person home. A good deed, she says. Good social credit gets rewarded with perks like cheap loans and travel deals. But a bad score means public shame and worse. Huang Huijun lost a court case and didn't pay. Now he's on a government blacklist. I can't buy airplane or train tickets, he says, and the list goes on. Being discredited makes it hard to get a job or put kids in top schools. The social credit system will go nationwide next year, and few here are willing to criticize it. Something that may pose a risk itself for a bad score and the life that comes with it. Janice Mackey-Frere, NBC News.
In 2014, it was decided by the United Nations to introduce a new global digital ID system. The ID system went by the name ID 2020. Unfortunately for the United Nations, far from all countries were supporting the idea of ID 2020. So the United Nations had to do something. This is where the pandemic comes in. Through the pandemic, the United Nations, through the WHO, gained the power to introduce pandemic passports. Passports which could determine whether you could be allowed to travel from A to B, whether you should be isolated, maybe jabbed, or just stay at home. In June this year, it was agreed by the European Parliament that the World Health Organization will be responsible for a new global digital health passport, which must be implemented worldwide as soon as possible. A health passport? But that doesn't sound too bad, does it? Let me tell you the truth. It will be through this passport that the United Nations will implement ID 2020. All people throughout the world are supposed to carry this passport. Without this passport, you cannot travel from A to B. You cannot enter workplaces, schools, or any public places or areas. In the beginning, the passport will be oh so nice, practical, and completely voluntary. It's just about being able to travel safely without being infected by a potentially dangerous virus. The emphasis will be on security, because who doesn't want security for your own, your children's and others' safety? But let me tell you the truth, slowly but surely the grip will tighten. People who are critical of this new digital slavery will be silenced or portrayed in the media as antisocial tinfoil hats, a security risk to society. And of course, you are entitled to disagree 100% with me on this very gloomy forecast for the future. But I believe that we are on the verge to enter into an unparalleled global digital slavery. When the pandemic broke out, I was in prayer, and it became very clear to me that it was not all about the jab, but about control through digital passports. And yes, it has since emerged that not all jabs were the same, although this truth is ill-heard experiments. They were made with the mandate as a biological weapon. I know. But there may soon be another very, very dangerous Greek letter variant on the loose, just to push the agenda a little bit further. Well, this video's message is not about the conspiracy jab, but how we as Christians face the new digital age. Are you afraid? I don't want to be a hypocrite, and I have to admit that because I see what is coming, I'm afraid. But I will not, as far as possible, allow fear to rule my actions. Unfortunately, I can't give you any guidance on what you should do to face the times ahead. But I know someone who can. The book of Isaiah chapter 55 verses 1 to 3. Ho, everyone who thirsts, come to the waters. And you who have no money, come buy and eat. Yes, come, buy wine and milk without money and without price. Why do you spend money for what is not bread, and your wages for what does not satisfy? Listen carefully to me and eat what is good, and let your soul delight itself in abundance. Incline your ear and come to me. Hear, and your soul shall live, and I will make an everlasting covenant with you, the sure mercies of David. Why is it that we should seek the Lord and not spend our energy and money on something that does not saturate? Let me read on. The book of Isaiah chapter 55 verses 6 to 9. Seek the Lord while he may be found. Call upon him while he is near. Let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts. Let him return to the Lord, and he will have mercy on him, and to our God, for he will abundantly pardon. And now comes the solution. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, nor are your ways my ways, says the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. As I said, I can't give you the solution, what to do about the enemy's sinister plans, but God can. Because God's plans are higher than the enemy's plans, and they are also higher than your plans. So that is why you have to seek God. You have to buy water and food from God. And fortunately, his water and food are free. All you need to do is seek God with all of your heart. When the new Pharaoh came into power, a new world order was established, and all the Israelites were gradually enslaved. And things eventually got so bad that the male children of the Israelites were killed. But when the Israelites began to seek God, their outcry reached heaven. And God gave wisdom to the midwives who were ordered to kill the male children so that they found their way to cheat Pharaoh. And at the same time, God sent his servants Moses and Aaron. Satan, the ancient serpent, has not changed. A new Pharaoh will arise in the end of days, the one whom the Bible calls the Antichrist. Pharaoh's sorcerers will again make new arts that will seduce the whole world. Remember that Pharaoh's wizards could turn their staffs into snakes and turn the water into blood. But God hasn't changed either. God, he will give us wisdom. He will call people to service, and through mighty signs and wonders, he will lead his people out of Egypt. And Egypt is a picture of this world. Do you want to join? Will you seek God while he may be found, or will you be like the foolish virgins who had no oil in the lamp when the darkness descended and the midnight cry sounded? Prepare yourself, the bridegroom is coming. Once the darkness covers the earth, it is too late to go and buy oil. Consequently, if you want to be a wise virgin, then seek God while he may be found. Thank you so much for watching, and may God bless you. Surely God's goodness and mercy shall follow you all the days of your life, and you shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. Amen.